here we go. All right, let's get the stream. We've got the stream going a little bit here. Let's see if we can. So I got to switch back. Now let's see if we can share like we're supposed to. Get this stream going. Let's see. Let's see. Sharing the stream, giving a couple of minutes here, getting her going. Boom, boom. All right, cool. So now we're back. So we finished the Bahamut animation last time we streamed. I had to do a few edits to it, so it wasn't perfect, but we still got it up and out. Today, this one is Alexander. I'm not sure if I did it on stream last time already or not, but either way, here we are. We're doing this, getting it done. This is going to be a different style of animation. This is kind of going back to the roots of what I used to do. Before I started doing more of the really big, bombastic, dynamic animation and all that kind of stuff. So for this one, I'm using more of a, what do you call it? A reference. I'm using more of a reference in order to get the drawing done. This is not something I would typically do right off bat, because I kind of transitioned into the really in-your-face dynamic kind of style drawing. But I wanted to just do whatever I felt, right? Whatever the animation calls for, whatever the composition calls for, that's what I want to do. Not try to get bogged down into making it one of these still tune loop style animations, or making it one of the crazy dynamic in your face style animations or whatever. So I felt like with Alexander, this is Alexander from Final Fantasy. He's one of these like summons that you can call out and to do like these really cool attacks for you and stuff like that. And I always wanted to do one of him, but I always felt like it was difficult because he's got a lot of moving parts on him, figuratively and literally. He's got a lot, and it's a lot to draw, and it can be really intimidating to try and draw him and to get it right, because I always felt like when you, especially if you copy someone's stuff, like this is not my original drawing, this is a character from a video game, Final Fantasy, that is already highly respected, highly stylized, and you got to do it right. When people see that you do something they love, you copy something they love, they expect it to be done right. So I never felt like I could give it that that love it needed. but I felt like I could do it in this style, doing the doing this more still animation. So I already did some pre-drawing kind of things here, but I'm gonna go ahead and erase all those. I'm gonna try and just go straight into the. Oh, sorry. Let me turn my. What's it called down? I'm gonna go straight into doing the second draft. So I like to do a couple of drafts when I create my tune loops. I gotta come up with a better name for it. Right now I'm just calling it tunes, but it's a standard where I'll draw the illustration and then I'll make the illustration move in some kind of way, and that would typically mean that I'll have to draw this like 3 times, and then maybe even do a couple of movements in between that, and then maybe even do something even more dynamic. But with something like Alexander that has so much going on already, what I might do is draw the whole thing. I did the sketch already, the pre-sketch. Then I'm gonna draw it again in a pre-draw. It's kind of like the first and second draft, and then I'm gonna do the final illustration, and that's gonna be the final thing. We'll color it, and then we'll animate it until we'll make it so he's kind of like bobbing up and down, like a secondary movement. He's just kind of bobbing. That would be our, instead of drawing it 3 or 4 times over, we'll do that. This is one of those kind of drawings where we will get very we'll get detailed, and we're gonna kind of take our time a little bit more. It's so many details. I'm trying to figure out how to truly go about getting some of these details in here. And actually, and this is one of those things I don't want to just copy. I don't want to trace it. I want to actually I want to draw it, but come up with my own thing as well. I'm noticing what I'm probably going to have to do is still not get too bogged down into the details, but just kind of do something as I go here. I'm looking at what this reference drawing has done, and I'm going to try and do that, but not do that. It's going to be complex, but I think we can do it. I have faith in us. Something kind of like that. What we'll do is, so my goal right now is just to try to build up these details now, because I've already done the pre-drawn. The pre-drawn was to help us to kind of build that the look. I think we did that. Now we can kind of focus on some more of these smaller details. Really get in there. See, Alexander is an interesting character. Summon. He is this is funny. He's a robot that is sort of like a cross between a robot giant / angel, and he does holy damage. Well, I think it's like on some games he does non-elemental damage. But in I believe in most games he does holy damage. There's dark, there's wind, fire, ice, and holy. And I think that is the main concept of his design and artwork. Something I never did. So I like doing stuff like this where I've never really drawn this kind of thing before, because it's like a challenge now. I have to kind of figure out, like, okay, how do I draw a gear? Kind of like that. So now these are like the in-between lines here. Actually, so far that looks pretty good. That looks really good. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing some of these lines. We're actually seeing the bottom. Oh, actually, it's like a gear. It's another gear. And like a screw head. Another gear. Another gear. And then we have like these. I think what I'll do, I'll make it so it's kind of like feet. Maybe do like 4 or 5 of these, where it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll actually spread this out a little bit more. 4, 5, kind of like that. Copy, paste, being this right here like this. Putting that there like that. And like that, and then kind of like this. Actually, what I'll do, save, make sure we're saving. Always got to be saving. I'm actually going to take this and move it right here. Let me erase all of this. The reason why I did that is because I'm going to take this and copy it, put it in different spots here. So that'd be kind of like a thumb. That's a pinky finger. That goes there. I'm kind of planning this as I go. It's not really strong. One, two, three, four, 5. I have to position this just a little bit different. Yeah. like that. Like that there. And the idea and the idea is that there is a massive kind of gearhead thing down here. Let's actually change this up. I'm kind of, as I'm putting this together, I'm kind of seeing a little bit more of how this can come together. Gotta get in there a little bit tighter than what it is. Like that, yeah. It might be too many of them, because in this picture, he only has 3. That might be my issue here. Kind of like that. Then maybe make this a little bit smaller. Actually, let's just get rid of it altogether. Let's do this. Let's bring this up. Bring it like that. Kind of like that. Let's do one in the background here. Like that there. And in this spot, I am going to kind of draw some, I'm going to go ahead and start erasing some stuff just so I can build the layers up. I want to see the drawing for what it is and not all the in-between stuff. This isn't like our dynamic drawing where we can be a little bit more lenient. We'll put a line here to show like the drill turning. Kind of like that. And then also what we'll do is we're going to show the inside of this here. We're going to show where the base meets. And what I'm doing here is I'm drawing a little bit more of a layer around these things. And see, this is where it's going to get so tricky. Because Alexander, because of all the details he has, and then we still got to put movement into it and things like that, what I'll probably end up doing is drawing most of this and animating most of it right off bat, and then going back and what you call, I probably, ooh, that's how I can draw the gear, kind of like that. I'll do like little lines, and then I'll come back and erase. But I'll probably animate it. I'll really animate the wings, because he's a robot with wings. How about that? So we'll erase all this. Excuse me. Just like that. Let's get the rest of it over here. And then we'll go back and fill it in like a gear. Just like that. And actually we can do the same here too. That's probably what I'll end up doing. I'm not going to do it right now because it's just a lot to have to go back in and actually draw. But I will do it a little bit right here. And then it's going to be like a little... So Alexander is based off of like a living castle. That was kind of the, if I understand correctly, that was the lore behind it. He's like a living castle that protects its masters, its lords, with holy magic, by using holy magic. And I think the more we draw too, the more it's going to start filling in, and it's going to really come together, and it's going to be like, whoa, all the details, what's going to make this thing beautiful. Something like that. And it's something about, I don't think I've ever like really studied what a gear looks like, but it's something about having had, I don't know, it's like it just looks right, you know? It's like, oh yeah, gears, they got all these like in-between parts, right? That looks solid. That looks really good. The only thing I would do differently is probably this one right here. It just looks off. Something like that. looks good. That looks really good. What I'll probably do is something very similar for the shoulders. I actually kind of want to make this a little bit bigger. Let me see if it's possible to make this just a little bit larger. Something kind of like something like that. Does that work? Nah. Let's go back to what it was. That's the best we can do. I think that's the best for what the design needs. All right, now let's do the underarm. We won't see this part, so we can be a little bit. We won't see the underside of it anyway, so we can be a little bit more. What's the right word? Flexible. Huh. Flexible for a flexible arm. In fact, let's do something like this where it's kind of like a connection, like a gear almost. And then we'll see it's like blackened in. Kind of like that. And then we're going to see another gear coming up all up in here. And then so this gear, I did this drawing, but I'm not sure it's even going to matter because it's very tricky how they've done it. It's an arm for sure, but it's got like, it's like ornamental. So what I'll probably do is create my own like arm connection kind of thing. Let's erase that. And then kind of like this. Kind of like that. So right here, I can use this to move. I can show movement and flexibility in the arm here. That's really good. I like that. I'll put that there to kind of make it seem like it's an arm, like another gear. That's great. I'm gonna make these into like gear heads. That's like castle parts and things like that. All right, so that's a lot of the arm that's done. Next, let's focus on the body a little bit more. So I'm gonna take all of this I'm actually gonna move it down a frame and just focus on this. Focus on the arms here. So actually, I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna kind of draw my own plating. And then he has like a rim right here. And another rim of lights that go right there. I don't think it's not that large though. So just gotta be mindful of how so this is the plating. And it's got like this ornamental kind of things going on. Kind of like that. Let's put my own little ornamental things in there. And so this part here is actually coming up like this. Kind of like that. Kind of like that there. Doing our own thing. And the reason why I'm still kind of using the picture as a reference here is because I want to kind of make sure that I'm still putting enough detail in there. I think what makes their picture so beautiful is all the detail that it has. And it should come down as a point. Should come to a head. Kind of like this. I like that. And then what we'll do, it actually has like another like, I'm gonna make this my own thing. Kind of like that. But then he has like another ornamental. Comes around right here like that. And what happens is it's got like these, like a crown going around. That one right there, I'm not too worried about because I'm probably going to end up just erasing it altogether anyway. Kind of like that. Kind of like that right there. What I probably should have did first was let me see what's in this thing. It's got kind of like a line. Oh man, excuse me. I want to say it's kind of like an outline. Something kind of like that. And then along with this, and we start getting to his body. And what I want to do kind of like that. And then what's going to happen is it's going to have like kind of like an orb at the bottom. And the orb is very ornamental. Again, it's kind of like the magic word. And then we have some more like castle-like figures over here. And then with this here, doing kind of, it's got some like gear things around it as well. But there's so much detail. I don't think we really have the time to sit here and draw every single gear detail that we can out of this thing. But that right there, I think, is really good. Oh, but I guess I don't. Nope. Thought I had a tissue. So let's try and grab as much as we can. What we're gonna do, we're gonna save, and then we're gonna try and group it. Perfect. Got it. All right. What we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of move it down, move it out of the way. Kind of like that. Let's take a look at what we got so far. And they have a lot more detail going on in theirs, but I don't think I'm going to do as much crazy detail as they got. Simply because it's just, I don't think it's going to be worth the squeeze at the end of the day. Probably turn it like this. And then I'm probably going to shrink this down so it can fit. Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. I think that's good enough for what we're trying to achieve on that part. So save that. And then now let's go back up to the shoulder. So this shoulder is going to use a lot of details that are similar to what we did in the arm. Save. I'm going to copy some of this instead of redrawing it over and over. Kind of like that. And then kind of like this. That's cool. Let's actually see what it looks like when we bring it all back together again. Not quite. It's a lot of stuff going on. So maybe let's group this together, and it might move off the template a little bit too. We got to be mindful of that too, in that not to fall in love too much with the drawing, because just because we're drawing something with a lot of detail and a lot of time being taken, we got to remember that the final composition is what matters. So kind of like that. What I'll probably do is erase this right here, erase that right there. I'm gonna move it out of the way and then finish erasing it, and I'm gonna put it back. Kind of like that. Cool, cool, cool. That's coming together already. You can't see the full thing. I mean, from beginning to end just yet, but that's gonna really come together. Just all the details are making it pop. That's nice. That's really nice. Let's go ahead and finish the rest of it, and I think we can actually finish the illustration today. That'd be really cool. All right, so let's go to the head area now that we got the arm all kind of said and done. Let's just kind of, I want to put a gear right here. Let's draw it out like as if we're doing a full gear. Kind of like that. And in stuff like this, think about like learning shapes and form and geometry and stuff. Remembering back to that kind of stuff. I was like, yo, I still remember that. This really came in handy just now. Like I just drew this and I almost drew it wrong. But then just that quickly I remember, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I got to actually put some more form to this thing. Kind of like that. Oh, let's actually run it all the way down here. Like that there. That looks good. And you know, as I'm looking at this, I probably should have put this more in between. So let's do this. So let's move this arm out of the way. Great. So now this shoulder, let's move this out of the way again. Let's actually, I'm messing up. Just this. Save, because whenever I do something really big, I think that the rule of thumb here is if you're gonna do something that's got a lot of like a huge change or huge movement to it, it's probably good to go ahead and save that. Save before you make any huge drastic movements. I actually want to put this gear right here. And it's okay that it's kind of massive. Just like that right there. let's go ahead and group this right here as well. Save. I'm going to put it right back on here. But then what I'm going to do, I want the gear to be the foreground of this. So I'm going to erase all these elements that overlap. Kind of like that. I'm gonna go ahead and group this gear up as well. Every piece is gonna have its own part where it's gonna live on its own, basically. I'm just gonna separate these drawings up here a little bit. Like this here. Erase all these bad elements we don't want anymore. And then move it back into place. Boom, just like that. I'm gonna make it red again. Move this arm back into place. Kind of like that. It moved a little bit, but that's just fine. Perfect. I like having the gears in there because it makes it feel more like a robot. Now let's turn our previous drawing back on. This is where we might go off script a little bit. Let's just draw it. Let's get the back in there. So he's gonna have a lot of these castle things around his neck and stuff as well. He has 3 nice little castle things around, well, around his neck in particular. Like that. And I think we're just gonna, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's go off script a little bit here and start drawing some of these structures. Kind of like this. It's gonna get a little dicey here, so just be patient. It's gonna look very strange, but in fact, let's move this right here because he has kind of like a collar thing going on, which I really like. So let's remove these right here. Give some detail to these. And then what's gonna happen is he's got this like collar kind of thing going on. I just want to give it that ornamental kind of look to it. there's even like a, almost like a, in, I don't know how to explain it, kind of like a, like castle windows or something. Helping to shape the rest of this right here. Kind of like this. It might be a little bit much. I might have to go back and, no, I'm gonna do it now. Cause I'm like, man, it's feeling like it's too much of that and not enough of yeah, just a few more of these to give it more detail. But it's almost like these two here don't exist, so that it can kind of come down. And then these can go around. Kind of like that. That's the best way I can kind of show that. And now for the head, now this part is interesting too, because even the head is a very strange setup. Excuse me. We're not quite ready for the flip just yet. I think that looks really good. Doing something, just doing a design for the head right there. I still want to draw maybe, this is a really cool thing they have on here. 2 different style designs here. 2 more features to go on his body to make it full. We're gonna do another like castle kind of concept in the background. And then I'm gonna take this and make it smaller. Actually, maybe not. This part I'm trying to do here might look better as I draw and go forward, because it definitely helps. It's like a shadow background kind of feature that's going on here. I think it looks cool, but it doesn't really stand out right now because it's not done yet. Like the drawing itself is not done yet, and it's like you can't do this without getting the whole thing done first. Kind of like that. sure all the holes are closed in, because if not, then it won't do the effect that I'm trying to do. And then also with that, I'm gonna do another gear hovering around both his arm and his shoulder. Kind of like that. That right there. But the idea is that it's hovering around the shoulders a little bit, like that. Bam. And then let's make sure even though it's hovering around the shoulders, that is opened up pretty good, like that. Now I can't see it, so I gotta turn that other layer off. And we're gonna draw this gear to as complete as possible. And then I'm gonna draw the inside of the gear. Boom. Now we're going to erase all the innards so we can get its full effect. And we won't have to fill in this back side of the gear back here because we don't see it. It's not enough going on for us to see. Save. And then we'll come down. As it starts getting more to the front, that's when we're going to start seeing more of both sides, and then we'll start kind of going back to just seeing the one side. We'll actually do that right there. Alright, good. Save. Let's group this, because all I'm gonna do is copy and paste this in different places. But let's turn this back on. Let's see how that looks. Let's make sure, I'm gonna try to make it so that these elements are not clashing as much as possible. So what I'm gonna do is probably gonna move this down some, but then I'm gonna spread it wide like that, then kind of turn it, do something like this. That might still clash a little bit, but I mean that like it works. It works for the most part. It might overlap a little bit. That might be the sucky part about this whole thing, but it's okay. So now wherever I drew the gear, I'm gonna erase in front because I want the gear to be in front. So erase all of this right here. Whoop. Oh, it's in the wrong spot. So erase all of this. I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I cannot believe we actually took the time and drew all these details into this. And the thing is, this was not supposed to be the final drawing. And to be honest, I'm probably going to have to end up drawing it again just to make sure I get everything, unfortunately. It is what it is. It's one of the things you got to do if you want it to look good. Got to take the time. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to put this one, I want to put it like, I'll probably put it like right here. That's kind of what they did. No, I might put it like under here on the bottom. And then they did one was kind of like next to it, but then kind of like over it as well, like that. So for this gear, what we'll do now, if we were really cool, we would make it so that the gears are turning. But man, I do not have the that's a little bit more effort into this than I want to put into it. But that would be badass if we did that. So something kind of like that there, I think looks really cool. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half as well. And we're at the point now where we can actually, we're going to go ahead and flip this thing. But let me actually save. I'm going to group this up. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start doing it. Copy, cut, undo, paste, and then flip. What that does, it pastes. See, we lost our, man. We lost our drawing. Let's bring it back. See, that happens. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll show you, this is what I'm looking at. This is the style. I mean, so it's very similar to what we, are drawing, but obviously I put my own little spin on it. Man, my nose is really bothering me. Put our own little spin on it, which is fine. But I'm still not even done yet. I'm still not even done yet, y'all. I still want to put wings on this thing. And that's going to take it to a whole nother level. A whole nother level. So we done our first pre-draw, our first draft. Next, we're gonna flip it, put it all together, make it make sense, make it look good, and then we're gonna put some wings on it, make that look good, flip it, put it on both sides, and all that kind of stuff. Then we gotta draw it all over again. Then we gotta animate it where it's gonna be moving little parts, and I'm gonna animate the wings, and then we gotta color it, and that'll be the final thing. We still have a lot more to go. We've barely really even gotten started. Let's just go over my apps here. I still have all these ideas for other things I want to do. So we did Bahamut. It was originally going to be a Tiamat, but I decided to do Bahamut instead. I want to redo Titan. I have this really cool idea for our Titan animation. Excuse me. I also want to do Titan. Titan could be really good. There's some really cool designs we can do for that. I might try something different with Titan. Instead of using a pen tool, I might use a brush tool. Let's get back on this thing. Save. That's why we saved so much, so we never lost any progress. Let's put our light board back on. I think we were about to, I think we had grouped this. Right? Save. I'm just gonna copy it this time and paste it because I don't want it to go crazy on me again. I'm gonna flip and get it as close as possible. And then I'm just gonna connect these together. Let's get our red pen tool back. Save. And I'm gonna connect this together. I'm going to flatten it. And then I'm gonna color it. But there's a hole somewhere. There's a hole somewhere because it will not. Ah, there it is. It's at the top. Because it won't color in for some reason. Like that. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna take all this. Now I'm gonna save. I have a feeling it's gonna crash on me again because it's so much information that it's trying to move. Group it. Okay, it didn't crash. It didn't crash. Save. This is where it gets tricky. It might crash on me again. Copy. No. I'm gonna cut, undo, paste, move to the side, save. Now I'm gonna flip it. Let's see what happens. Oh snap, it actually flipped. So my goal is to get the middle part where the neck and the face is, to get that as close as possible. Everything else, that's the look right there. Now, what happened at the top of the head and everything, I knew that was gonna happen. It was gonna, I just wasn't sure how bad it would look. Everything from the head and below is what I was going for. I would say closer to the neck. What's going on with the neck is almost perfect. Yep, and the head for the most part looks great. What I'm gonna do is copy all this. I'm gonna paste it on another layer because I don't want to lose anything. Save. Select everything, and then I'm gonna ungroup. Perfect. So I'm gonna change some designs up here in the head because obviously it didn't work out the way I wanted. That looks good. That's fine. Let's change some designs up on the forehead. That looks great. That looks great. Let's close in this gap where the mouth was. For some reason, there we go. Let's bring this down. Bam. Let's bring that down like that. Let's actually erase some of this stuff here. So now in the redraw, even though it's going to be a lot, the redraw is going to help it to, it's going to tighten it up even more so. Just bring all this together. Connect these lines here. That looks good. Looks good. So now let's do another little building thing, little castle thing. Kind of like that. I dig it. I dig it a lot. I like it a lot. So let's get these gears. Put them in place. And then I'm going to save because I'm going to cut, undo, paste. And I'm going to flip it. I'm hoping this thing doesn't crash on me. So I'm going to group this. And I'm going to put it in place over here. Now we can definitely come over some. I do see where I did not account for the gear that I was going to be on top of over here. But that's fine. We can just go ahead and do some quick erasing. Kind of like that. Man, that's beautiful. That looks great. Save it. I want to put this behind it as well. I thought so. Save. I'm constantly hitting the save button. It's almost annoying, but you kind of have to do it in order to keep yourself from losing everything. Ooh, I think by doing that, I saw something I really like. I'm gonna ungroup this because I'm gonna group these two together. I'm actually gonna bring them down some, like this, like so, as if it's on the ground. I'm gonna have to erase this and make it a little bit better. I think that's fine. That looks great. What I want to do now, I want to put the wings on it. So let's do that next. Let's do some makeshift wings. So, kind of like this. what's gonna happen is for like bird wings, like for angel bird wings, you have to kind of kind of let's get a picture of it. I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. So, because for this, you want to get it kind of tight, to be honest. Let's see a picture. There we go. Yeah, that's about right. Let's just get some lines out here. Just do some pre-draw lines. I'm probably doing way more feathers than what I need to. And it is getting a little kind of like, whoa, what's going on? But it's okay because this is really for helping us to fill it out a little bit. All right, so that's a lot, right? But and then I'm gonna probably draw a feather or two. So now let's go back, save, and we're just gonna spend some time erasing some of these lines. And then we got to really kind of be careful about where we're erasing. So I mean, we can actually use this time to kind of chat a little bit too. You know, one of the things I really love about doing all this is like just the freedom, not thinking about, you know, how bad this one drawing looks or all that kind of stuff. I kind of described this before where I was like giving advice to people about how to draw. Well, not even how to draw, but just the nature of drawing itself. And it seems like a lot of people get so hung up on, man, I can't draw like that, or man, I can't even figure out how to start. And that's the beauty of this, doing this right here, because it's like you just kind of free your mind of it. you free your mind of how it's supposed to look and all that kind of stuff. Now there is some discipline to it. You still have to maintain what's the right word? Maintain a I mean discipline. Discipline is a word, but a sense of a vision of what you're trying to do. What are you going for? What's the end product supposed to look like? Kind of like that. But I think that part, what is it supposed to look like? I think that really depends on the artist. It depends on the person putting the pen to the paper. Because it's all about what's in your mind, like how creative you are. That's what I always felt like an artist is. I don't think I'm a good drawer or a good illustrator or any. I'm not good at any of that kind of stuff. I'm an artist, you know. I do what's in my mind, whether that's painting or writing, talking. I mean, whatever can be creative. You know, rap is a rap and poetry is a form of creative writing, right? It's a form of being creative that it's a form of being creative that exists outside of just the physical medium, and it's verbal. It's listening. That's a really big feather. I'm not saying I'm a rapper or anything either, but that's why I always felt like an artist is not just tied down to their medium or to one medium even. I think creativity exists beyond just your ability to produce something. I think it's more along the lines of your ability to produce what's in your brain onto paper. It's almost like a very specific hand-eye coordination kind of ability. But then on top of that, it's also the fearlessness to achieve it. You don't allow your anxiety to take over and tell you that, oh man, it doesn't look right. Oh man, I can't do this because I just don't have the skills for it. Who cares if you have the skills for it? That's not what matters. What matters is you're gonna work at it. You're gonna try. You're gonna achieve. Maybe your achievement looks like crap. You can go back in and put some details in there. Make it look like feathers. Doing this will really bring it out. And by putting these details in here like this for the feathers, it makes it look a lot, it takes away from the weird shape. It's like, man, that doesn't really look like a feather, man. But once you do all this, it's like, whoa, that's a feather. And another thing, feathers, it's funny, I realized this because I used to draw eagles all the time. It was like eagle, eagle, eagle. Hey, we need another eagle. Can you draw an eagle? So I had to draw wings a lot. And what I realized is that feathers look just like leaves. If you if you're drawing a feather, you just draw a leaf basically. And yeah, just draw a leaf. And once you get all these lines in here like this, it fills it in. And another thing with art that I noticed, as you're building up the design and the composition, you're working on one piece at a time, and all you see is that one piece. You see that one stick, and you're like, man, this is an ugly stick. This is no good. But then as you start finishing it, and you stop looking at the one stick or the one tree, and you start seeing the whole forest, you start seeing the entire thing, you're like, oh, now I see that actually looks pretty cool. Done. And what I'll do is I'll actually close it up too. Save. Make sure we stay saving. Group it. Select all. I'm gonna flatten it, or I'm gonna convert it into an object. Now I'm gonna copy it. I'll go back to the main drawing here. I'm gonna flatten this, or I say flatten. Select all of it. Convert it to an object. Might take a little bit. The bigger the files is and the more lines it has to deal with, the more it starts to become complicated on itself. I'm gonna do some risky stuff here. I'm gonna see if I can throw some color in here. I'm gonna use white. Okay, all right. It didn't crash on me. That's good. I'm gonna turn all this red into black. Now I'm gonna use this same black to close up some of these lines, because I obviously did not do that. Did a very bad job at that. Bam, bam, bam. Whatever I did over there, I got to do over here. Under the arm here. Under the arm there. Close it up there. Close it up there. Let's highlight everything. Right there. Right here. Right there. Same over here. Save. Highlight everything again, convert it again, unhighlight. Let's try it again with this white. Almost. What are we missing now? I'm still missing something here. Let's highlight everything again. I'm missing something. It might be that. I don't know. I know it's that right there. Yep, it's the same spot for both of them. Got it. Perfect. Okay, well, not perfect. It's still a little castle here that wasn't caught. All right, so remember those wings that we hit? Well, actually, first off, let's save. I'm going to group it. And I'm actually going to unpaint some of these little areas I don't want filled in. Those wings, we're going to take them. We're going to paste them. Ooh, that's beautiful. Something like that right there. We're going to actually probably take that, put it there for now. I'm going to take this, copy it, paste it here. I'm actually going to change the color on this. I'm going to make it more of like a gray. I'm going to put this in the background like so. Kind of like that. And let's see if it needs a little bit more juice. No, that's actually okay. Let me just take a look, see. Let's see what it looks like. Actually, I think it looks kind of cool. Send to the back. Save. Let's grab this up. Let's actually make sure they're converted, and then we're going to flatten them into one shape and put that shape in the background. Oh. Let's ungroup it first. That's probably why it didn't flatten the way we need it. Alright. Now we're going to flatten it. Now it's one solid object. Put it in the background. So I see something with the wings. We didn't finish closing up the wings here. That's going to make it so that it won't color correctly for us. We don't want that. So this white that we did, let's make it more of like a kind of like an off-white a little bit. Yeah, that looks good for now. Okay. And the reason why we did that is because I want to make these wings white. Like that. Whoop. Forgot to group it. It's always a good practice to group. We need to group things just as much as you save. Let's bring Alexander himself to the front. Let's copy those wings. Let's flip them. something like that. Let's bring Alexander back to the front again. Let's do some color changes here, some color practice. Let's grab this nice little brown here. So let's protect our black. I want to be able to color freely. I'm going to protect this white color as well. Whoop. Actually, you know, I don't think we need to redraw this again. I think we've probably done enough, to be honest. It's come out so beautifully. Let's protect this gray color as well. I wanted to animate this too, but I'm not sure it's going to be necessary. Just as I'm putting this together and I'm finishing all this, it's kind of like, do we even need to anymore? It's already looking so good. I can't just erase that. Okay, and I'm gonna erase some of this in the background as well. Now that I'm looking at it again a little bit more, it's like, man, it kind of does need a little bit. It does need a little bit of a bit more juice to it. Get a bright red for the eyes. I love having the summons have eyes to them. That's always a good look. Makes it look menacing. Let's actually color these gears just a little bit more. I couldn't get those wings to be a perfect white. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Not sure what's going on here. That was not supposed to be red like that. That was supposed to be, yeah, like that. Like that. Then, man, it's getting kind of complicated. Like that there. Then what I want to do is I want to make him a little bit more of a blue color. That's what I have in my mind, is like a blue. But in the meantime, let's see if I can throw some shading or something on him, just to kind of, I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it just so I can get like a final look to him. Not a final look, but just to get a really good draft. Like, okay, this is what we're going for. That. I probably did way too much right here. This is kind of help show how it's under. Again, not really trying to be too something like that there. Now, see, the thing with this, what this is helping me to do is to understand what's kind of missing here. And I definitely am missing a sense of like color variation. Obviously, we haven't really gone in and done all the colors that's needed. But I can't help but feel like, man, I need to develop my color theory for this guy and figure out what I want from him. How do I want him to look? I feel like the composition is close, but the color theory itself is not. What kind of color do we want to give him? What's the theme? What kind of feeling do we want to portray with our colors? that. I might have to tone down the shading a little bit, the darks. I see that already. Under the wings a little bit here. Cool, cool, cool. All right, I think that looks really good for the most part, but again, you know what? Let's finish this up a little bit though before we go too far. I see a few more little things I can do. Whoop, I wasn't supposed to actually color on top of the on top of that. I'll put this color draft. We're gonna have to end it here soon, but before we do, there's a few more things we can definitely do. Whoop. Man, it's looking like it's really sticking to. I'm like, maybe I can make it more gold. Perhaps we can make it a little bit more. Yeah, now that's cool. And this blue, maybe we can make it a. Nope, that's not the color we want. This one. Perhaps we can make it a darker, like that color. And these wings can be closer to this blue. Just a little bit, right? And actually, maybe we need to bring this structure up a little bit. Well, not to the front, but to send backward. No, so let's just send it to the back and bring it forward. Bring it forward. Oh, how about this? Let's just grab the wings. Let's just grab the wings, send it to the back. See what that does. Nah, I think we may have to end up getting rid of this. I'm gonna put it right over here. This deep purple. I want to try it like here. These buildings. can't get that one without. I want to try and get this stuff right here too. Like all of this. Let's do this here. Bam. Bam, bam, bam. Save. Gotta make sure we stay saving. Like that. Like so. And then something else I want to do is I want to get these here. These gears, man. That make a huge difference. If we can get them to follow suit. For some reason. Oh, I see. I'm like, why is this connecting so hard? Ah, it's all grouped. Sure, what happens if we make this? I like where it's going. I like it. There's one more thing I want to do to it right here. That's fine. I'm not really bogged down on it too much right now. I think that's good. I like that. Let's just take the scale down that just a little bit more, and then let's grab it. Let's go ahead and take a nice screenshot of it.